Okay, delayed but not denied. For those that have been sitting and waiting, I know I said 8:15. Had some technical issues here. The streaming link that we used wasn't working, but it's working now. How's everybody doing? It's Tuesday night, November 11th. You know, earlier today I said October. That's what happens when you have one day off on a Monday. This year has gone by incredibly fast. I don't know how many of you agree. Chime in if you do, but yep, it's November 11th. It's Veterans Day. We're getting ready for some good rain, some decent wind, and some iffy snow. Now, if you had asked me over the weekend if the system looked like it was going to bring some good snow to the Sierra, I would have said, yeah, absolutely. But we've seen some big changes over the last 24 hours. I'm going to show you what's changed, and then I'm going to show you how our snow numbers have changed. They've come down quite a bit. Now we're talking Wednesday night through Thursday and into Friday. It's Tuesday. There's time for those numbers to change again. I've heard from some people that say, why are you putting out numbers so early? They just change. Well, of course the forecast is going to evolve. It always does. Yeah, we like getting information out. We update our information as we get new information. That's why you see the forecast change. It's just the nature of the beast. But if you have questions about the forecast, put them in the chat. I am here and there checking the KCRA page, my pages, that's YouTube and Facebook. We're streaming on both. So I will try to get to your location-specific question about this week's weather as we go through. Well, let's talk about the ingredients to start. Any good storm this time of the year, you need moisture and you need cold air. We've already got the moisture. We've actually got this tap of some moisture now moving into California. We saw the clouds today. So the moisture is pretty high up there. You know, thousands of feet above the ground. In order to get rain close to the ground, of course, you need moisture close to the ground. We don't have that yet. That is going to change Wednesday night into Thursday. Cold air is still back here. You can actually, as the satellite animates, you can kind of see the leading edge of that cold air right here. And that's, of course, our key factor in whether or not we see good snow out of the system. Well, the cold air is going to be moving in a lot slower, if at all, which is going to keep the snow levels pretty high, and it's going to keep our snow totals, our potential snow totals, pretty limited here as we go through, again, Wednesday night into Thursday. Let's jump into the timing. We're at least a good 24 hours out before we start seeing any meaningful rainfall. So your plans all day Wednesday, anything you got to do outdoors, any yard work, leaf raking. Tomorrow's a good day for the leaf raking. Get that done, because Thursday is really looking soggy. We've backed off on the snow numbers, but the rain numbers still look really good, and we'll talk about that. So this is midnight Wednesday night into Thursday. Showers starting to pop up for the valley and for the foothills. That's not going to accumulate all that much. What's going to be a bigger deal is this right here. Those oranges and those reds, those are the heavier rainfall rates. And look at the timing. Not unlike what we saw last week, this rain's coming in right ahead of the morning commute. But unlike what we saw last week, the rain's actually going to linger a little bit longer. Here's 9 a.m. Widespread, moderate to even heavy rain for the valley, for the foothills, and that's just rain even over Donner and Echo Summit. So some good news here. If you do have to travel over Donner or Echo Summit during the day on Thursday, I don't think chain controls are going to be an issue. I think it's going to be wet, and it could be pretty darn windy in those wind-prone spots. But chain controls, for now, not a big concern during the day on Thursday. If you've got to travel over Donner, Echo, or Carson Summit as we get into, say, after sunset Thursday and into early Friday, have the chains and cables and be ready for delays just in case. But this, I mean, you'll watch as we go through here. This is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's still just rain over the summits, even in Alpine County where the summits go up a little bit higher. That's just rain on this model. There are other models that do show maybe a bit more snow into the peaks of Alpine County, but this one's really been backing off. And I will say this is our model that tends to be most aggressive on snow. So it's an interesting turn here. 4 o'clock Thursday afternoon. The valley seeing some showers, but the steady soaking rain should have let up by now. It is still going strong for the foothills. And notice here too, yep, That is just rain even over the summits. 10 o'clock Thursday evening. Maybe some snow over Donner Summit. Maybe. But yeah, I think the focus of this is really turning towards rain and wind. Look at this. It is still raining in Tuolumne County after midnight Thursday and early Friday. By the time we wake up Friday morning, most of the rain is done. We'll have a few showers left over, but the valley is clearing out. May have some fog there kind of left over for a little bit, but Thursday's going to be a soggy day, and it is going to be a breezy day. So any of your outdoor plans on Thursday, that's a tough one. Outdoor practices, if football's still going on for one of your kids, the uniform's going to need a good wash after Thursday. It's going to be quite muddy. Cross country, soccer, what else is in season here? It's just going to be wet. Wet for most of the day, all of the day in the foothills, most of the day in the valley, with things now kind of hanging up a little bit longer. So with that, there's our updated rainfall map. Yeah, those are some good numbers in the valley. May need to bring this number for Modesto back up a little bit. There could be some spots in Stanislaus County that see up to an inch of rain just with how things are hanging on. The foothills, especially Tuolumne County, in Sonora, Groveland, you could be on the upper end of this 2 to 3 inch range. That's not enough to cause flooding in those areas. We're talking about 3 inches over 12 plus hours. The system can handle that pretty well. There's probably going to be some ponding on roads in the valley and in the foothills, especially during the morning commute as things start going. That's why we're telling people now, leave yourself some extra time for that Thursday morning commute. You're probably going to need it, unless you're like me and your workday doesn't start until 2 in the afternoon. Things may be a little bit easier. If you're a shift worker and you work the evening shift on Thursday, it may be a little bit better for you. If you work the regular 9 to 5, yeah, it's going to be some slow going on Thursday. Paul is checking in on the KCRA page, staying inside on Thursday. Yeah, I kind of like an indoor rainy day kind of day if you can get away with it. Rhonda says stay dry. Justin is asking about power outages because of the high winds. Yeah, that's a good prompt, Justin. Let's take a look at the winds. I don't see anything particularly problematic for the valley. I do think winds will be stronger than what came through last week. Last week's winds, we were talking about this, just kind of a dud. They came in well under what the models were expecting, so of course, anytime we take a look at a model, we remember that it's just a guide. So the numbers that you're looking at are forecasted wind gusts. This is 6 o'clock Thursday morning, so remember the leading edge of that rain is just moving into the valley. It's going to be a breezy start to the day. Wind gusts of 25 to 35 miles per hour. That's not wind that'll cause damage. It's breezy. That combined with the rain, it's not going to be pleasant. But I think as we go through mid-morning on Thursday, especially the east side of the valley, you see this fuchsia coloring here in eastern Sacramento County, western Amador County, western Calaveras County, western El Dorado County. That's where we could get into some of those wind gusts of 40 to 45 miles per hour. So thinking, let's see, who would this be? Places like Oakdale, places like, well, certainly Folsom, Rancho Cordova, Wilton, Jackson. Those could be some spots where we see some of those higher wind gusts on the east side of the valley. Not so much along into the west of I-5. Winds will stay a little bit lighter there, but it's still just a breezy day Thursday. By the time we get into the afternoon, we'll still have some rain hanging on in the valley, but notice the winds really back off quite a bit. So the windiest part of the day for the valley is the morning. Sierra winds will be going all day long. Tahoe area gusts to 45 miles per hour for South Lake and Truckee. Donner and Echo Summit probably gusts up to 45 miles per hour. The wind-exposed areas in the Sierra will probably see some wind gusts well over 60 miles per hour. That's not unusual as these systems come through, but remember, we're talking really remote areas of the Sierra where, you know, the wind's not necessarily a problem for people, but sometimes, you know, people like to go in and pick out the biggest wind observations they can find. Like I think it's Chair 6 at Kirkwood. You get some insane wind numbers up there because one, it's high elevation. Number two, there's nothing around it to break the wind. That may be one of those things that we see. But it's going to be a wet and windy day in the Sierra. I'm not expecting widespread issues because of the wind in the valley. If you have a tree that you know is older, it's been stressed, it's, you know, you've had issues with it in the past, there could be, you know, a loose tree limb that comes down in some spots. But again, with these winds, not expecting huge problems. But if you're on the east side of the valley, if you're on the lower foothills, it's going to get windy for a couple of hours on Thursday morning, and then things will kind of tend to settle down. So that's the wind. Justin, thank you for asking about the winds. Just poking around for any updated questions. I'll hop on my page here real quick. There we go. Stuart's asking if this cool wet pattern is going to stick around for a while. Another good question. Well, let's put it this way. I don't see any near 80-degree temperatures coming our way for the next little bit. We were close to 80 degrees over the weekend. I mean, it was one of those things. I was talking to Dirk earlier today. Like, I kind of like this. I know it doesn't feel like November, but it's nice. Yeah, it's not going to last. It is going to be staying on the cooler side as we go through the next little stretch. This is what happens when I try to talk and call up my next graphic at the same time. Give me just a second. We'll look at the longer range pattern together, and then we'll loop back around and talk snow. I realize I haven't really hit that yet. Stick with me here. All right. So here's our system coming in Thursday. Right now it's kind of two systems, one up here, one down here. They merge on Wednesday. Wednesday's a dry day for us. Thursday morning is when things get wet and windy. The afternoon it's showery in the valley. It's still wet in the foothills. And it's kind of a rain-snow mix into the Sierra. Then this low just drops to the south and kind of lingers. This is kind of annoying if you're a forecaster, because the longer this hangs around, the more uncertainty there is in a forecast. Right now, Northern California is dry on Saturday. Sunday, you see that little bit of moisture trying to wrap around and sneak into the eastern Sierra. We'll keep an eye on that. For now, we've got the Tahoe area dry on Sunday too. And then our next system comes in. This is Monday morning. So Monday could be another day to watch during the first half of the day for potentially wet commute. We're not making any calls on that one just yet. We're 6 days out, and we've got, you know, a storm to worry about before that. This one too. Some snow, but not a lot. Just not a ton of cool air with that. So we've got a system Wednesday night, Thursday, and another one potentially next Monday. Just kind of keeps temperatures cool, keeps us rolling with our rain chances. Rain is great. We're starting to get into that point in the season where it'd be even better to get some good beneficial snow. This is what our 7-day forecast looks like right now. Yeah, we're just calling it possible showers on Monday. Possibles may turn more probable as we go through the next couple of days, but that's assuming that the forecast holds as is. This time of the year, things can change quite a bit. And with that, let's talk snow. So I already showed you the timing. I want to show you, though, why things have changed so much with our snow before I show you the snow numbers. For that, we're going to the internet. Just to show you some different models. Well, it's the same model that we use on TV. It's just a little easier to manipulate. All right, so what I'm showing you right now, these are the temperatures at about 5,500 feet. So they're kind of a decent proxy for, okay, is it going to snow at lake level in Tahoe or not? Because Tahoe's 6,200 feet. So if you get temperatures below freezing on this model at 5,500 feet, that's a pretty good bet that you'll get some snow in Tahoe. So let's take this. This is Thursday. This will be about 4 o'clock Thursday afternoon. So here's what the latest model data is showing us Thursday afternoon. Temperatures around Tahoe, 9 to 10 degrees Celsius. 0 being the freezing mark. That's nowhere near. So we have even, okay, this is Friday morning, yet temperature's still well above 0 C. Look at what this model was showing. This was 2 days ago. This is also Friday morning. We'll back it up here. Yeah, so this is overnight Friday. Okay, same time frame, but this model run was 2 days ago. These are air temperatures below freezing, -3 C, -6 C. That's enough cold air to get snow. That's what we had 2 days ago. This is what we have now. Temperatures around Tahoe running close to 10 degrees Celsius warmer. That's what's changed in the models. We just don't have the cold air running in this time. There's time for that to change. Again, say that with that major caveat there. But that's what prompted, if you've been watching us daily here, this big change in our snow forecast. Give me just a second. I'm scrolling to the numbers. So, yeah, try not to be too overwhelmed. 4 to 8 inches of snow at Donner Summit. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm leaning towards the lower end of that 4 to 8 inch range, just based on how things are trending right now. Whatever accumulates is probably not going to accumulate until Thursday night, maybe early Friday morning. Ebbets and Sonora Pass especially, should still see some decent accumulation, but only because Ebbets and Sonora Pass are substantially higher in elevation compared to Donner Summit and Echo Summit. So, yeah, the higher points of the Central and South Sierra will get some good snow. This is just not going to be a good snowmaker for Tahoe. Again, that's how it looks right now. Chris on my Facebook page is asking me if the GFS and the NAM are showing an alignment as far as rain totals. Yeah, it's been pretty good. But rather than me just saying that, let's take a look. So we're on the GFS now. This is the run that starts initiating at 4 p.m. our time. So this is the latest data that we have, and we have enough of it that we can see this week's storm in its entirety. All right. Well, that's all right. There's an increase in rainfall here on the GFS. Over 2 inches possible in Sacramento County. I think that's a little high. Here's what the same model was showing 6 hours ago. Okay, up over 2 inches there. Here's what this morning's model was showing. And what we think is more likely is about 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rainfall for Sacramento and areas north. Decent amounts for the San Joaquin Valley. We could still see close to 1 inch in Stockton, in Modesto. And we could be talking 2 to 3 inches of rain up into Tuolumne County. Now we hop over to the NAM. The NAM too has increased its amount some, but it's under 2 inches for Sacramento. So something around 1.5 inches for Sacramento seems reasonable. And for the eastern side of the San Joaquin Valley, a little over 1 inch of rain. There's a possibility there. 2 to 3 inches as you go up into the foothills of Amador County, Tuolumne County. We're talking above 4,000 feet here. So this is going to be a good rainmaker. Probably the biggest rain we've had yet this season. I know the benchmark is relatively low, but I still think this is going to be more of a beneficial rain than a harmful rain. I don't think we're going to see flooding. Creeks and streams are going to be fine. The rivers have lots of room. Our reservoirs have lots of room. So in that regard, we're all good. But an inch and a half of rain, if it comes, in a few hours' time for the valley, that's enough for ponding on roads. That's enough to really slow things down for you on Thursday morning. For the foothills, things are going to get pretty swampy. And it's going to stay that way into Friday as everything kind of runs off. But Chris, to answer your question, yeah, I think there is some good alignment between the GFS, the American model, and the NAM, the North American model. The only difference is that the NAM is a little bit higher resolution, a little bit more of a short fuse forecast. But they're lining up well with this idea that, yeah, a good portion of the valley, inch to an inch and a half, possibly more in the Sacramento Valley. That's a pretty good bet. For the foothills, 2 to 3 inches feels like a pretty good bet. So it's nice to have that agreement. The GFS and the NAM also aligned in the lack of snow. Same thing with the European model. So when our different models all kind of line up with a similar idea, it gives us at least a little bit more confidence. But there's, as we like to say, there's time for that to change. Somebody on YouTube, yeah, hopefully it'll get windy. I don't hope for wind. I know some of you do. I think the windiest spots will be on the east side of the valley. That's where we'll see some wind gusts between 40 and 45 miles per hour. Anything less than 40 tends to not cause too many issues. Anything above 40, if you have weaker tree limbs, if you got an old oak tree, something like that, there's a tendency to get some of those aging limbs to come down, especially if the tree has been stressed, either by disease, drought, anything like that. So that potential is there. Not overly concerned about widespread outages, but if you like to err on the side of caution, tomorrow night, just leave stuff on the charger and make sure stuff is good to go. Lisa on the KCRA page says it'll be hard for machines to make snow up in the mountains. Yeah, I know they like temperatures in a certain range. I think it's something like 27 to 31 degrees with a dew point in a nice range too. Yeah, they're not going to be able to make snow while it's raining. The highest peaks of the resorts may get something, but this is just not looking like a good base building snow. Yeah, Bob's asking a similar question. Winter-like weather? Well, it depends on how you define winter. If you're looking for big snow in the Sierra, this one may not be it. But for the valley, rain and wind, that's winter for the valley. So yeah, in that definition, this is going to be a decent winter-like storm. One last thing I want to check on, the northern lights. We're able to see parts of it, and I wonder if it's still there. They were visible in parts of Northern California earlier tonight. You got to be in a pretty remote area. The camera that I saw was on top of Round Mountain in eastern Siskiyou County, kind of right on the border of Modoc County. So again, in a really remote spot without a lot of light pollution. Oh yeah, they're still going. Oh, this is so cool. Check this out. All right, this is the Blue Mountain camera in Modoc County. Look at that. Let's take it over the last hour. Oh, that's so cool. If you're able to see any of this from where you are, let me know. If you've got pictures or, well, video wouldn't do well. Long exposure photograph would do pretty well here. Send it to us at KCRA and let us know where you're sending it from. Again, this is Modoc County. Not seeing any lights glowing down below, so it's plenty dark, easy to see. But this is just so pretty. I've never seen the northern lights in person, but it would be cool. Yeah, we had a pretty strong geomagnetic storm pop up off the sun yesterday. And all those particles interacting with Earth's ionosphere, creating all these different colors of light. Haven't heard of any issues. Sometimes as these little solar storms poke through Earth's atmosphere, we get some communications disruptions, but we haven't heard anything like that. Just getting this really cool light show instead. So that's Blue Mountain in Modoc County. Let's see if anything else has it. Here's Ballard Ridge. Cool, and you can see the clouds kind of coming and going, so you catch glimpses of it in between the cloud cover. Center that up a little bit for you. Really cool to see. Here's Round Mountain again. Again, this is in eastern Siskiyou County, kind of right on the border of Modoc County. Yeah, clouds kind of blocking the view there. Oh, but there it comes back again. It almost looks like a post-sunset glow, but it's not. I mean, it's 8:45 p.m. The sun goes down just before 5 this time of the year. So that is all northern lights. Super cool. There's one last look at the Blue Mountain camera. Really, really pretty. All right, so if you spotted the northern lights tonight, jump in the comments, let me know. And yeah, if you have forecast questions, go ahead and post them in the comments. I'll go back through and try to answer anything I didn't before. But the main takeaways for especially Thursday morning, it's going to be wet pretty much everywhere. It's going to be windy for a few hours, and then the winds kind of die off in the afternoon for the valley and for the foothills. This is almost kind of looking like an all-day rain at this point. So may need to take some of the rain numbers up a little bit. Snow numbers, we've brought those down. So our headline is rain. But it's rain that we've seen before. It's rain that we can certainly handle. It's just going to be a pain in the neck on Thursday, especially if you have somewhere to be. If you can reschedule, if you don't want to deal with the rain, Friday looks fine, Wednesday looks fine. The weekend looks dry too, which is good. Monday could be another day where we're dealing with rain, but at this point it doesn't look like quite as much as what's coming through right now. That's all I've got for you tonight. Thanks for joining me for this little Facebook Live, YouTube Live weather chat. Try and do another one on Thursday. As our storms come through, we'll see how the rain numbers are stacking up. Check and see how our forecast is doing. Always good to verify and see what we can learn. And maybe look ahead to Monday. We'll see. It's a fun time of the year. I enjoy it. Hope you are too.